Hi, I'm Alicia and welcome to my channel Papercraft Secrets. Today I'm excited to share with you a set of cards that I've made using Stamperia products. This was the first time that I have ever used the Stamperia products, and I used this paper collection called Provence. And it has a lavender theme to the collection. So I decided to make a set of 6 cards. I'd like to show them to you. I've actually given 2 away already, so I've only got 4 left to share. But these 2 were the really large cards that I made that are heavily embellished with lots of flowers and foliage and ribbons. So I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think they're really pretty. On the inside I did decorate them a little bit as well with some of the papers that I have left over. That's the inside of that one. And then I made 4 little mini cards, because sometimes you just need a little mini note card to send to people, and I've already sent 2 of those away and there's only 2 left. And these are just tiny little note cards that could go with, say, a bunch of flowers or a little present for someone. I'd like to take you step by step through the process of how I made this collection of cards. I also have step-by-step instructions on my website. If you'd like to print off the instructions on my website, I'll put the link down in the description box below so that you can just click through and get straight in there. If you subscribe to my email list, you will have access to all of my free printables. There are many card sets on there, as well as scrapbooking layouts and mini albums and those sort of things that you can create at home. You can follow along to the video tutorial, and then you can print off the instructions and have that next to you as you create your project. Let's get started and I'll show you exactly how I made these cards. The first thing you need to do is take 2 pieces of white 12 by 12 cardstock. Cut each piece to 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, and then cut another 2 rectangles to 3 1/2 by 7 inches, and then repeat on the second page. This will give you 6 card bases. So let's have a look at me doing that. Here's my first piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. I'm cutting this to 8 1/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. Then I'm going to fold that in half, and that becomes my first large card. I'm then taking the leftover scraps from that 12 by 12 and I'm cutting that to 3 1/2 inches by 7 inches. And then I repeat that for the second scrap, cutting it at 3 1/2 by 7 inches. So that gives you 3 cards from the first 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And so then you need to repeat that again on your second 12 by 12 sheet. So first of all, cut your 8 1/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. Fold that in half for your large card. And then repeat that again on your second 12 by 12 sheet. So first of all, cut your 8 1/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. Fold that in half for your large card. And then repeat that again on your second 12 by 12 sheet. So first of all, cut your 8 1/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. Fold that in half for your large card.
And then with your scrap pieces, you're going to cut a rectangle which is 3.5 by 7 inches. And 3.5 by 7 inches. And fold those down. And that gives you your 6 base cards. The next thing to do is take your Stamperia 8x8 paper pad, and we're going to choose some papers that we like from the paper pad. Now look at the papers, I mean they're absolutely gorgeous. There's so much potential with these papers. It's very difficult to choose which papers that you're going to cut and which papers you're going to leave. So I'm just going through and choosing the papers that I think I'm going to use. I end up using this beautiful page. As the background for one of my large cards. And I use that bit as the background for the other large card. Now I'm also looking for paper that can go on the inside of my cards as well. I cut this paper, leaving a little border of white around the card. I really like this script writing. I would like to use these images on my cards, on the small cards. So I trim those down. These images are really so cute and they're perfect for these tiny little cards that I'm making as little note cards. So I'm just trimming all of those down and preparing those for my cards. I'm now adhering the background papers to all of the 6 cards. Just gluing that down with some liquid glue. While those cards are drying, I just put them underneath my paper trimmer to just keep them nice and flat so that they dry in a nice flat way. I'm choosing some paper also to decorate the inside of my small little cards. And then I'm going to glue that inside each card. I thought it might be nice to make use of these lined note pages for the inside of one of my cards. So I'm just trimming that down, and then I'm going to paste that in to this card. I end up cutting some ribbon from the paper pads to use as decoration for the inside of the card. For the insides of the little cards, I'm using these little blank pieces that have room for a message to be written. I have selected 4 mini pictures for the front of my cards, and I've also selected 4 tags for the front of my cards, and I'm just punching a hole in the top of each of the tags, and I'm going to tie some crinkled ribbon through those holes. I decided that it'd be nice to have a strip of paper along the middle section of the card. I don't really want to waste the paper going under the card, so I actually cut up the pieces quite small so that I can just paste one on each side of the card and then pop the image in the middle. A little tag is going to sit inside or behind the image, so it looks like there's a little tag popping out of a pocket, but the pocket isn't actually really a pocket. Well, it is, but you can't pull the tag out. The tag's stuck in, so it sort of just looks like it's a little pocket, but you can't pull the tag in and out. So you just repeat that for all 4 cards, and then you have the front design of your cards almost finished. Now I'm moving on to embellishing the large cards, and I'm just playing around with some floral elements to create a floral cluster for the 2 cards. I decided to make some of my own flowers to match the card beautifully, so I'm making these out of some foamy run art foam sheets that I've used a die cut for, and now I am shaping the petals of each flower on my hot iron. I found some gorgeous pearl centers for my flowers. I don't like the yellow center of this flower, so I take that center out and I replace it with one of my pearl centers, which I think makes it look much prettier. I'm using my hot glue gun to glue the petals of these flowers together. And then I add the pearl center into the middle of the flower. I cut a doily die cut out of some white card, and I position my floral cluster on top of that white doily. I decide to use a happy birthday chipboard sentiment to decorate the cards. I'm just going through and adhering all of those elements down with the hot glue gun. I'm moving on to the second large card, and I decide to add a strip of paper vertically down the front of the card and a strip of lace. I'm adding some crinkled seam binding ribbon around the front of the card to add to the floral cluster. I'm adding in some baby's breath to add some white and green to the cards and to the floral cluster. I'm adding in some Stamperia metal leaves and a metal dragonfly. I've selected a wooden sentiment for each card, and I'm going to heat emboss them so that they are silver and they'll match my silver embellishments on the card. So my first step is to ink them with the Versamark ink. Then I cover them with the silver embossing powder. Then I take off the excess embossing powder. Then I get my heat gun and I'm just blowing the heat onto the embossing powder, and that brings the sentiments to that lovely shiny silver effect. My next step is to glue each sentiment onto a card with some liquid adhesive. My last step is just to decorate the cards with these tiny little pearl flowers. This just adds a little bit more of embellishment to the cards. Then inside each of those tiny little flowers, I can add a tiny little rhinestone, and that just gives each flower a little center stone for the finishing touch.
I hope you enjoyed my step-by-step tutorial on how to make these beautiful cards with papers by Stamperia. This is a beautiful collection, the Provence collection, and I'm sure that you will enjoy creating with it. Make sure that you do hop on over to my blog and print off your free instructions. If you really like Stamperia products, you need to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will have step-by-step tutorials, video tutorials, and written instructions for you to create with. Leave me a comment down below and tell me, are you a card maker or are you a scrapbooker, and what do you want to create? Thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely crafty day.